Today, I'm planting dragon fruit. This is my neighbor's farm, and look, he's got dragon fruit running on all his fence posts, all the way down that way and all the way down here. So you see here, he puts it in the ground, and then he runs it up the fence post, and then he's got this little frame built for them to branch out on. And those of you who watch my channel know that I like to use what I have sitting around. Now, I already found one thing, which is the top to this grill that I never use. So I think I'm going to take out all this screening, this mesh screening, and just use the circle with the 4 little spokes coming off of it. This is another project I'll need to resurrect, which is drying my bamboo, because it comes in handy for a lot of projects around the farm. But for the sake of just making a post to grow a dragon fruit on, I'm fine. So I think I'm just going to cut a section of this. Wow. This little saw did a surprisingly good job. And see, when you cut at the joint like that, you get a nice closed off piece, so I won't be getting any water in there. This is going to be the pot I plant this dragon fruit in. It's a 25-gallon pot, and it's full of soil. So I got to empty it all out into the wheelbarrow so I have room to put the bamboo in, then I'll fill it back in. Oh, this job sure keeps you in shape. All right, so I'm just digging myself a little hole here, just clearing it out. Now I'm going to take my bamboo pole that we cut. I'm just going to stick it here in this pot. Right in the middle. Just going to kind of twist it down into the soil. And I'm going to jam the rest of the soil down around it. Here we go. So there's only soil about up to here. I got about 5 inches of soil, but it's already holding that bamboo post pretty firm. So now I'm going to fill it the rest of the way up. But before I do that, I'm going to fertilize my soil. Now I have this soil here in the wheelbarrow. I'm just going to add a little bit of fertilizer to it. And the fertilizer I'm using is 6-3-16 blend. I'm just going to put, like, this is a 25-gallon pot I have here, just this little Starbucks cup about halfway full. Just going to mix it in with my soil like that. And I'm going to add in 2 big old scoops of potting soil also. I want this soil to be a little softer, so when this dragon fruit starts to produce its roots, the roots don't have resistance. They'll be able to branch out into the pot here. All right, let me finish it off with these last couple of scoopfuls. Now we need to put a little framework on top. If you remember in the picture I showed you earlier, let me show you again. You got these, the dragon fruit's going to grow up the post, and it's going to kind of spread out. It's going to look like dreadlocks, right? But it needs a little bit of a frame to sit on. And as I told you, I always like to reuse stuff. So I have this old top from a fire pit I bought at like Walmart or something. So I'm just going to rip the mesh out. All right, there it is. Now I'll set this away, and maybe in 2 or 3 years I'll use that in a video. But now I have this nice frame to affix to the top of my bamboo. This is the part of the video where you guys get to go down in the comments and tell me how I should have attached this to the bamboo pole, the technique you would have used. And to that I say you're probably right. There probably are better ways to do this than I'm doing it, but I don't care. This is the way I'm doing it today, because I like, you know, I could go to Home Depot and get all kinds of new stuff and do this all prim and proper and measured off and level, and I don't really like doing it that way. I like walking around the farm and going on these little treasure hunts and finding old things and repurposing them. And then, yeah, this'll loosen up. But the last one of these I made, the last frame I made, is sitting right there behind me. I'll show it to you. It's starting to loosen up a little bit, but that's over 2 years old. And I think once the plant gets in here and gets its roots going and everything, that's going to hold this on also. Here's what it looks like from top to bottom. So here's the ring I affixed to the top. We have our bamboo post. Then we have our soil mix. Remember, topsoil, potting soil, and about a quarter pound of fruit fertilizer. Now let's go rescue that cutting of dragon fruit I found in here. You see there's also a pineapple. Now these things are almost impossible to kill. You pretty much have to burn them. But this is a pineapple that I harvested a piece of fruit off of, and I just threw it out here in the mulch pit. That if that starts giving out pups, I'll come out here and I'll harvest the pups and I'll stick it over there with the other pineapples. But what caught my eye, like I told you, was this dragon fruit. Now, it's a little worse for wear. It's a little beat up, but I think I could save it. And look at that. Look at that root system it grew. Let's go get this thing in a pot. So right now I'm just opening up a hole big enough to accommodate this root ball. Okay, I got to go a little bit deeper. So a little bit deeper. Oh, and it's nice. The soil's nice. Oh, I can feel it. It's nice and spongy. I can smell the fertilizer. I know there's a lot of critters and worms and stuff in my topsoil that I've been working on for about 3 years out here. So now there we go. I got the root ball in, and I don't want to bury the cutting itself too shallow. That's enough right there. If I had it, I'd probably use grafting tape, but I'm actually out of grafting tape, and nobody has the size I want. Trying to find grafting tape, or I might use even parafilm and just let this guy grow right through it. But it's no big deal. This guy's a rescue anyway. This is a bonus. So I'm going to just tie him up and I'll just come out here and check on him. And once he's able to attach to the pole on his own, I'll undo the jute. I'll undo these strings. So there you have it, and it took under an hour. And if I wasn't making a video, it would have took 25 minutes. I mean, for me to just kind of empty that pot, stand up that piece of bamboo, make the mix of soil, potting soil, and fertilizer. Make my little top, my little frame for the top, and then plant the dragon fruit and affix it to the post. And like I said, over the next couple of weeks, this guy will start to put out little roots and attach himself to the pole. And then he'll spread out here across the top and come out like them little dreadlocks you see in this video. And then eventually we'll get some fruit. I cleaned things up so you could see, but this is my failed dragon fruit, and there's still a little green in it. I always say where there's green, there's hope, but this is hard as a rock and dry, and this bottom piece here is all brown and flaking away. So I'm going to say that this guy's dead. So now I'm left with an already built frame. It's the same as the frame that I built in the pot over there, except for this one is in the ground. I had to dig through the limestone, but I've got my bamboo. I've got my rack on top. And the good news is, as I was over here clearing all this out, I thought my passion fruit vine had died, but look, he's very vibrant and green and still growing. So I got to come out and rescue that guy next. This guy's actually bigger and healthier than the other one, and since he already rooted into the ground, I'm just going to kind of carefully dig him out. This is also my firewood pit here, so he's kind of mixed in amongst the wood, but I just want to go in and carefully extract him with as many roots as I can. See, and I don't know about y'all, but this is the kind of stuff I love to do. I mean, anyone could go to Home Depot and, you know, buy a potted plant that's already started and dig a hole and stick it in the ground and water it. But this is the fun stuff, coming out, making the rescue. And I don't really know about dragon fruit, you know. I just see what my neighbors do, and I ask people questions. And now that I got these ones planted, I'll ask even more questions. Oh, these roots go far. Wow. Wow. Okay. There we go. And then I'll learn, but the way I'll really learn is just by planting this guy and figuring out what to do. Now, for example, it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's my understanding I could probably harvest this and plant this as a separate cutting, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So maybe we're going to wind up with 3 dragon fruit plants today. So let me clean these roots off, and then we'll go over to the post and get this sucker in the ground. Well, something happened. As I was walking over here, this part fell off anyhow. So now I'm definitely planting this guy. So now we're going to have the one we put over there, this new one, and this one. Now, just to show you here, in case you don't believe me, that's about as deep as I can go before I hit rock. I got about that far down I got about that far down on the blade. Now, that said, this is a spot that I have already dug up like 2 years ago. But listen to that. I'm hitting rock, see? And this is a spot I already dug up. Somehow the rock just gets back in place. I don't know what happens. But anyway, I'm just gonna scrape myself as deep as I can. Then I'm gonna make my mix again. I have a little bit of topsoil left in here from the last one. I just put another scoop full of potting soil. And since this is less dirt, I'm only gonna fill this cup up about 1/4 of the way with fertilizer. Put it in there. I don't wanna burn the roots on my dragon fruit. I'm just gonna mix that up. I take my piece of dragon fruit. But you gotta watch, these things have these things have pickers, they have thorns. Just gonna set it down so that these roots are in the little hole I made. Then I'm gonna tie it to my post. All right, so now I got the hole dug and I got the roots in there. Let me just pour this soil mix on top. Oh, look at that, how nice. Oh, that is nice. Now, one thing I did read, I don't know if it's true or not, but I did read this. You don't want to cover the plant too high with soil. You only want it to be like a 1/2 inch or something, I read. So I'm going to just kind of pack this soil down. But now here I have a nice mound of nutrient-rich soil. And that's going to keep this thing alive until those roots can get down into the natural ground, and it's going to have this post to grow on. Here's a close-up of what we just did. So you see there, I only got about 1 inch or so down into the ground, and that's where the roots are. Then I put the pile of our soil mix, soil and fertilizer mix on top, and then just loosely tied the, I don't know what you call it, the branch, the stem, the stalk to this bamboo. It'll grow its way up until it affixes itself to that frame on top. We're down to one piece of unfinished business here, which is this little section off the top of my dragon fruit that broke free when I was rescuing it from the mulch pit. So I'm just going to take again that little mix of topsoil and potting soil that I have. Just going to add a little topsoil right on top here. Going to use this as a prop stick. Put that in there. And just kind of with my finger, make a little bit of a hole for this guy. Put him in. And then put more of this soil mix around him. Now, I did not mix any fertilizer in with this pot because this is a very small amount of soil and I just wanted to be careful. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of fertilizer, fruit fertilizer, and just go around the edge of the pot here like this. I don't want to damage this cutting or damage the roots in any way. I guess with what's left over, I'll give my pineapples a treat. That was a very fun and worthwhile project. We were able to rescue 2 pieces of dragon fruit from the mulch pit and actually turn it into 3. And I showed you how we build a frame, and there's nothing stopping you from building one of these at home, doing it yourself, growing your own dragon fruit. And if you want to taste dragon fruit, I'm afraid that's what you're going to have to do because I don't grow enough to sell. Actually, I have never grown a dragon fruit in my life. This is my first foray, aside from my failed attempt back before my house burned down. But one thing I do grow a lot of, and we do sell online, is avocados. And if you'd like to try a box of Sleepy Lizard avocados, go to guacfarm.com. GUACFARM.com. We sell our avocados out there when they're in season. And sometimes, depending on what we have in stock, we have other types of tropical fruit like mango, mamey, and Monstera deliciosa. Now, the only thing I have left to do is water these things in. I got to go turn on the irrigation. While I do that, you go to guacfarm.com, and I will see you on the next video.